Okay, guys, I'm going to wait just a couple more minutes to see if anybody else is going to get on the call. And if nobody else comes on, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to talk about the topic that I had planned for tonight, okay? All right, so I'll give you guys like another 2 minutes and we'll see. I know it's a Thursday night, there's a lot going on, football games and first week of school and all that, so it's a little bit crazy. It was hard setting my alarm getting up at this hour too. So. Okay, guys, so I'm going to go ahead and get started because it doesn't look like anyone else is going to be coming on the call. So I guess the first lesson I'm going to impart to you all is about persistence. And persistence is actually, a good example is this right now. So we're having a team call, but there's nobody else on the call. Persistence is just sticking to a plan no matter what. So for example, yeah, I would say like on a scale of 1 to 10, today for me was in terms of success with, helping clients and my own family and just sort of how the day unfolded for me. I would say it was not the best day of the week, Thursday. Although I had some great conversations with some of my customers early in the morning, and I had a great evening with my daughter. I would say, some family things also sort of poked their head through today, and I didn't get a lot of time to focus on some of my business plan, some things that I had intended to do today. So overall, I wouldn't rate it as like a fantastic, like woo kind of day. But you're gonna have times like this, and you're gonna have days when you start to build your team, and you start to plan things out where the day doesn't always unfold the way you want to. And sometimes you hold a call and nobody's on the call, and hey, that's how it is. I believe in moving forward and rolling with the punches, and I have proven it again and again that persistence wins. So I wanted to talk with you guys a little bit tonight about posting. So just to let you know, I was never somebody who posted a lot. I think I mentioned that in the last Team Fall. I always had Facebook. I actually didn't do Instagram. I only started doing that about, I want to say like, it's probably the most recent thing I've done. Maybe 6 months ago, 5 months ago, I started doing Instagram. So my primary route of like keeping in touch with family and friends was through Facebook. And even then I didn't go on very much. That's one thing about me. The other thing is, as you guys know, I disclosed a couple of days ago publicly on Facebook that I suffered from anorexia bulimia from about the age of 17 to 21, 22. And, that was not an easy thing for me to talk about on the internet. It was probably one of the last little things that I was holding out on that I hadn't shared. My teenage years were, pretty crappy in terms of a lot of the things I was up against, in addition to just being, the normal hormonal ups and downs as a teenager. I had some other, I took some other hits, and, that's just the way it is. We're dealt a hand, and it's random. I didn't know I was going to be someone who was going to grow up with a number of obstacles in my path. That's how it was. I had to get over it. So, I disclosed this recently on Facebook that I had this disorder, and what my hope was that by sharing that other people who suffer from the same thing would not be as afraid, because it's a stigma, and it's not pleasant. So one thing about the reason I'm mentioning that is that I had always big issues with food. I don't have them as much now, although, like I mentioned on my Facebook post, it's always that little thing that demon in the corner that I have to be careful of. I have to be leery of, because it can always come back. But I really have started to enjoy food now. But again, as a disclaimer, I never went to art school, never studied art, other than just, I liked art. I liked to do it. I used to paint as a hobby and do some charcoal pencil and charcoal color. And I also used to like to do homemade stamping. My mom was sort of like a hobby artist. She liked to draw too, and use pastels and so forth. So, but I never had any formal training, other than drawing 101 or something like that in college. So I would say that I do have an eye for art. Like, I do like to look at things that are beautiful and take them and present them in a different way. But the one thing I want to say is that I think this is a skill that can be sort of, how do you say, it can be like unlocked. I think it's inside all of us. And the reason I know this is that when I was feeling the most down and out, depressed, not in tune with myself, not in tune with the world, that part of me was one of the first things to get locked down. So when you are not in touch with your feelings, and you're not waking up every day and sort of interacting in a physical, spiritual way with the world, a lot just gets missed. You don't see it. And so when I started this program, just around the time that I became a discount coach, and I was not officially helping anyone, I was just trying to do it myself and, just get fit and drop a tiny bit of weight that I had gained. I really didn't see this. And I had only vaguely heard about, other coaches out there. And probably I looked at my own coach. She might have posted some things about food. She used to like to share what she ate. And she would show pictures of, things that she did physically. Her exercises, she would share exercises, information. She would actually like take pictures of her food. And I remember, I swear, when I got into that first, it was like a challenge group that I had. I guess you'd call it kind of like what we have with Beat the Boss, but this was my version as a customer. I thought it was the weirdest thing. I was like, oh my God, all these people are, they're like taking pictures of their food, and like, who the hell takes pictures of their food that much? I mean, I would like take a picture of my birthday cake, I guess, on my birthday or maybe something like that. But I never thought, like, I never walked around saying, oh, let me take pictures of food. That's my first thought. Then my second thought is I never like looked around at food, like food on somebody's plate, food in the world. I never looked at like fruit, vegetables, in conjunction with its natural world, and I thought that was beautiful. I also, in my early 20s, I only started getting into cooking, really started getting into cooking. I'd say once I was married to my first husband, and I would say like before I had my daughter, and like when I was maybe in my mid-20s, after I had sort of stopped purging and tried to learn how to, like, I don't know, handle food, deal with food. A lot of the things that came back to me from my upbringing, from watching my mother, cook and prepare food and bake, that I used to like. I used to like to watch her do something, but I never like dabbled in it myself. She never really, I'm trying to think, sometimes she would bake cookies holiday time or something like that. She might ask me to like, here, take these and, fold these cookies or whatever, or, take this dough and roll it out for me. Like that I might have done. But what started happening was like once I recovered from my food addiction in some way, I started to like test the water, like maybe I could do something with food. So the thing I want to say about posting is that when I started to feel better, started to lose weight, started to get the sugar out of my system, started to just think clearer, see clearer. When I started to do a personal development, I know, I can be like, Julie, stop talking about personal development. But listen, I can't stop talking about it because to me, it means life or death. And it means full success in the program or mediocre success, partial success. So consistently, all my coaches, all my customers, those of you who are like have picked an audiobook or gone to the library and actually taken out an old-fashioned book, or you've got your Kindle and you read this stuff. And I don't mean things just like how to advance your business, and I mean there's cool like marketing books and how to be a coach and all that kind of stuff. That's great, but I really respect YouTube inspirational sort of videos like Les Brown. And again, it doesn't matter if you're like Christian or Jewish, but there actually are some good Christian audio podcasts that sometimes I listen to. I like to choose individuals, experts who really get me to sort of delve deeper into me and figure out sort of the nuts and bolts about what are making me, what thoughts are creeping into my mind to make me go down that negative route or the positive route. Like I want to know what those two sort of like that gateway that either like, I go down that way or I'm down this road. So I like those kind of books. And I do about, like I said in the last call, the last time I talked with you guys in the last Jedi call, I think I said I was doing like at least an hour a day, but like I'm overkill. For you guys, I would say at least 15 minutes, but if you could do an hour, that would be awesome. So once I do personal development and I'm staying positive, I've got the endorphins running from having done my exercise. I'm sort of in this daily routine of the clean eating, sugar's out. So it's like, whoa, my brain is like the fog is lifted. I can actually see what I'm doing. I get major focus. And when that happens, and I know it's going to happen to you, suddenly you're more open to the world. So if you're closed down, you won't see this, but you start to look at things in your immediate environment, and they look different to you, like food, like looking at like a particular room, or maybe you're outside with someone's, and you spot, I don't know, like a wheelbarrow. Just the other day I was out in my husband's dacha farm area, and I didn't end up taking a picture, but I could have quite easily taken this picture of this wheelbarrow and the way the wildflowers were coming through the wheelbarrow. And I just thought of like old versus new, like someone had left the wheelbarrow there and yet the plants had like grown in between it. So I thought of like something stagnating something in ourselves that's left behind, but something new growing out of it. So here it is, just like a freaking wheelbarrow and some wildflowers. But I was already thinking, hey, if I took a picture of this, and the other thing I want to say is I always try to encourage people to, like you guys, to think outside the box. So when you look at this object, I want you to think about not just standing, the normal way you stand, but maybe you want to change your perspective when you take it. Maybe you want to crouch down on your knees, and maybe you want to get right up in front of the wheelbarrow. Maybe you want to go around it. Maybe you want to like get under it and shoot your picture up. The point is, never just think about the mundane, like, oh, I can only stand here and take it like dead on. No, you can take a picture from any angle. You can be on the ground looking up. You can do a aerial view of something. So I actually didn't end up using this wheelbarrow, but I could have. And my thought was, again, like, I'm noticing this object and I'm thinking about it in a positive light. Sometimes I think about something negative that in general happens to people, and I try to spin it in something positive. So I'll actually post it in our group, this picture that I'm thinking of, that I'm going to refer to just now in like the next couple seconds, so you know which one I'm talking about. There was this picture that I posted on my social media. It might have been, I want to say, like a month and a half ago. So I was still back in New York. I was staying over at my friend Karen's house, and she has a lot of beautiful objects in her home. So staying at her home is like spending a night at the American Museum of Natural History, like doing a sleepover there, because you just like, there's so much stuff you could choose from. She has beautiful old antique things, and she's really into the same colors that I'm in. So it's like waking up and there's like colors everywhere. But anyway, my point is, I had gone to the local grocery store and picked up some yellow beets. Now, people usually think of like beets, red beets, right? But there's different varieties, and I have this one that's yellow. And I was preparing it. I was just going to I eat beets raw. I chop them up very, very thin. And I sliced into the beet. And when I had the two halves, and I was looking at the beet, and I was thinking, and I was looking at it, you could actually see the veins. Like it was like bright yellow, and it had these white veins. And I'm standing there, and of course, I get flooded with emotion. And I'm thinking, wow, there was a time when you would never catch me eating freaking beet, like never. I mean, you would just never catch me doing this, because it's like, I mean, I had no relationship with food. Like, fuck beets. I'm sorry, use my language, but like beets are gross. I would never eat that. So here I'm looking at it, and I'm thinking, oh my God, this is so beautiful. And I said, I want to show people how beautiful this beet is. And since a lot of my clients may not realize they can eat it, and what's so good about a beet, like what are the actual vitamins and nutrients that someone will get out of it once they eat it. So I'm actually staying there with the beet, right? And I'm thinking, how am I going to show this? Like, yeah, so I guess somebody could just stand there in their kitchen and like stand over the beet and take a picture of it. And often I do. I'll take a picture of like my plate, my food, my dinner. But what I want you guys to always consider is to think about it in a bigger sense. How can I take what I see and overlay it with something else? Build up on it. Think bigger. So I went into Karen's dining room, and I said, I better find a better plate than just this. I had like some junky white plate that I was going to eat my salad off of. So I go into her room, and I'm looking around for this plate, and she had on her hutch. It was obviously not really to be picked up and used. It was more for show, right? She had these 3 beautifully displayed plates. So it was like a small plate, a bigger plate, and then a smaller plate. And I thought, oh wow, I wish my just first split second, I was like, oh, I wish I could put the beet on that plate, but I didn't want to touch it because it was like on display. And then like it just hit me. I was like, I don't even need to actually take that plate off the hutch. I can just take a picture of it, right? Because I could take a picture of it this way. The plate's on display. And when I take a picture of the beet, take a picture of the beet, and then I can overlay them. I can superimpose the beet on this plate. It will look like the beet is standing up. And in fact, that's what I did. And that post was very successful. And I forget, I have to look, I don't even remember what I wrote on it. I have to actually look at the post to see what the captioning was. But I think I said food is beautiful or something like that. And I just wanted people to see the beauty in being different and something different. And so the picture looks like the beet is hanging in midair, suspended. And of course it's not, it was actually just on a plate. So I took it on the regular plate and I cropped using an app. I sort of cropped it and then superimposed it on her plates on display. But that's the example I'm trying to give you, is to sort of be open to your world. So a lot of you, just in conversation, especially with coaching, you said to me like, oh God, I don't know like what to post. I'll get a text from somebody like the night before. And remember, I made up like a little posting plan. I sort of made a plan here of how I post. And I think I might have been telling Heather, or maybe it was Heather or Karen, that without this sort of like list, I would go insane too. I wouldn't know what to post. I won't remember like what, and I don't want to have to wake up every day and say, oh my God, what am I going to post for people? How am I going to help them? What do they want to see? I came up with a list of what I do, Sunday through Saturday. And at least I'm looking over right now, and at least I could do more of this, but I'd say at least 3 of those days, there's at least 1 or 2 times during a day where I post an inspirational picture or a picture of food being prepared. And I like to show people and circumstances in conjunction with the food. So I never just take like a boring picture of just like a dinner plate, unless it's like inside my fitness group, or if like I'm doing the 7-day clean eating challenge with Nicole, right? So we're doing this kind of like open group that we're going to run every single month, by the way. So if you guys have clients that you want, or if you have potential clients and you want to put them in the 7-day clean eating group, feel free to contact me, because Nicole and I are going to do this every single month. So we'll always have this challenge, we'll have it in September, October. So if it's a group like that, I might just take a quick picture of just the plate. But in general, I'm always thinking, what are the circumstances with the food? What is the beauty of it? And the other thing I want to say is, I'm going to post a picture of this, but I on Sunday nights, I do a call to coaching post. And what that means is I choose a way of posting and sort of a layout of talking about my life now. Because my life wasn't always like this, right? I wasn't always a coach. I was in a different job. I was a director in a company, so quite different than coaching. And before that, I was a teacher. So this is like a drastic change. And I hope, my intention is to, of course, inspire somebody else out there, somebody who would like to be like me, come off another career and maybe take the skills, hone and refine the best of what they already have, and channel it into coaching and helping people get better, get better, get their nutrition, start to, like what I'm saying, think clearer, see things differently. So on Sunday night, I do this call to coaching. And one of the cool things about having this deadline, this keeps me on track. So on Sunday night, I was driving home, right, from dropping off my daughter, and I said, oh my God, it's Sunday night. I have to do this post, this call to coaching. And I said, I have to do it. Time is running out. What am I going to do? And I'm actually driving on the road. I'm saying, oh my God, I have no post in my head. I have nothing to do. And I said, Julie, pick a pleasant spot and pull over. So where I live, there are a ton of wineries, vineyards, right? So I just grabbed the wheel. I pulled into Pindar. I think it was the first vineyard I came upon was Pindar. And also my issue was it was getting to be dusk and I was going to lose my daylight and I couldn't even take a picture. So Heather always laughs at me because she's like, how do you get these pictures? I rig pictures, okay? Because usually I'm by myself. Either my kids are, if my kids are usually in school, right? Or I've got Regina with me, my baby, or I don't have a second person, like a cameraman or somebody to help me. So yeah, I rig things. I will take my own videos at home in my kitchen and I'll like prop the iPhone in like a cup with some nuts to keep it up. I don't even have a iPhone like tripod. I just sort of like rig stuff and be like, okay, stay now, don't drop. So I pulled over to this vineyard and I took my pocketbook, I put it on top of the car, I wedged my iPhone into the car, and all iPhones, I think if you have iPhone 6, has a timer thing, right? I think the iPhone 5 might have it too. So you can set the timer so that it'll take the picture by itself. So, I quickly just checked my hair, and I think I threw on a scarf. I didn't have a scarf on. I just had like exercise pants and like some dinky top. I don't know. So I quickly like got myself, all right. And I was like, okay, you're in a vineyard. And at first I was like, I'm just gonna take a picture of me with a big smile on my face. I did feel good. And I was like, hey, I'm going home. And I just saw my daughter, and like, I tried to like get in touch with the feelings of like how I felt right now. And like, okay, it's Sunday night. I don't have to go into the office tomorrow. I don't have to ride the subway. I don't have to report to somebody else. I'm only going to be beholden to me, and I'm going to report to me and be my own CEO, right? And to like work my business day tomorrow my way with my kids. So I kind of like channeled that feeling, and I just said, okay, sometimes being an entrepreneur is not so cool, right? And so then I was just thinking, hey, grapes, vineyard, what can I say about grapes? Well, I thought of like Grapes of Wrath, like the book popped into my head. I was like, oh yeah. And then I said, it's the pits. Like sometimes working for yourself, it's the pits, right? So I'm thinking like wines, grape, wine, pits. And then from there I was like, and sometimes though, right, you get what? You get an amazing bottle of wine, right? And especially if it's aged, and it's the best year of that particular vineyard. So I made that post, which I'm going to share with you, and I'm sort of standing in the vineyard, and I was just like, I let the camera just snap, and I was just like this. I was like, you know what? Sometimes it's the grapes of wrath, sometimes it's the pits, and sometimes it's it's your best bottle. I forget how I worded it, but and so I sort of like typed out those words, and I put them in different fonts on the picture, and I just had me going like this, like, hey, sometimes it's like this. And then here's a little tip I'll share with you. People will get engaged more with you if you actually speak to them personally. So it's always better to post a video along with text. And I know a lot of you don't want to do that. It was like the scariest thing for me to like post videos. I hate being in videos. I hate doing this call. Like I don't like being in front of the camera. Like I hate taking video. But I know on Instagram and Facebook, if I can keep it to 15 seconds, that's what I want to teach you. Keep it to 15 seconds. You can use a program called Pick, Play, Post, which you can do like a side. They have all different like layouts, but you can do the most popular one is like a side by side. You can have your still picture with me in the vineyard or the fruit or the food, whatever. And then on the right side, you can have you in motion, doing like it's a actual video. So I get back in my car, and like now I'm thinking, okay, so you've got this picture of me doing this, and then I'm like, I have to talk to people. I'm driving. I'm like, I have to think about what would I want to say to somebody about being a coach. So I use that time while I'm riding in the car. So and you've got your kids with you. It doesn't matter. Just take a couple seconds, like while you're driving, and think about what do I want to say to people about coaching. Why do you love it, Julie? I mean, I talk to myself a lot. I'm like, okay, just get in touch with, tell people why you love it. Why is it that you want people to come to you and be a coach like you? Why? I mean, what's so great about coaching? And then I answered my own question out loud in the car. I was driving, and I was like, okay, well, it's cool being a coach because I really enjoy seeing like, all those years of schooling, all those degrees I got, all the skills that I accumulated on the way, working with people, being a teacher, being a leader in my company, like all those, like the skills and the sets that I got, now I can kind of put it into play for me, for my clients and for my business on my own time. And so like, it's almost like the best of all the little worlds you had, like everything you learned in college, everything you learned on the job training, everything you learn from your family, like as you got older, like all those things just pushed into one career, being an entrepreneur, right? So I answered my own question out loud, and then I just said, okay, Julie, just keep it short. Say that in 15 seconds. So what I did was I think I did only, I actually did it pretty quick because I felt like what I could say, I could say quick. And I said, I timed myself. I'm like, okay, can you say what you just said in 15 seconds? And I took my phone and I said it, and I had a little timer, and I was like, yeah, I can do that in 15 seconds. So I set that in my car, and the sun was setting. There was like just enough light left. And I just held the camera and I just said, this is what coaching is. You know, it's taking the best of like everything you've done and putting it into what you want to do now, and getting up every morning and showing people, you know, this. And I said it, and I filmed myself. And I can tell you that that post was probably one of the most successful call to coaching posts I've ever had. It had the most reach. It had the most views, and it had the most likes. So what I did was I took that post and I did a boost. So when you guys start to create or have your own fitness business page on Facebook, I'm going to use another team call to explain how to do that. Once you have your fit page, you can take a post and you can boost it, meaning you pay, like, you know, you can do like a cheap boost. I don't do boosts that are more than like $5. Maybe I could boost something for like 5 days at $1 a day, because the statistics on this particular post I did said, wow, Julie, this post organically, meaning without boosting it, was like viral, was a huge hit. And I boosted it. Then I took that good, excellent statistic, right, of having reached a lot of people and a lot of people saw it. I boosted it even further. So I hit, you know, I don't know, maybe thousands and thousands of people, right? I paid a little extra to do that. And it started a lot of conversations with some people, and some of that and some of those people turned into clients. But again, what did I do? I pulled over in a vineyard, which to me was very pretty, right? I had these grapes in the background growing on vines. I just thought, like, that's going to be pretty. And people will look at that, and especially people who were living in my island or maybe in, you know, out on Long Island, they'll see that and they'll be like, oh yeah, that's the vineyards, and look at how pretty that is. You know, people have so much garbage in their lives and so much negativity, so much struggle, that, you know, it's our job as coaches to bring some humanity back to them, and dignity and beauty. And there's so much beauty. There are so many beautiful things in the world, including like food and wheelbarrows and vineyards. And so what I want you to start doing is, like, when you wake up every day and you're walking outside with your kids, you're going on the playground with them, you're at the office, you're interacting with people. Maybe you're in the city, you know, and you're out shopping and you see something outdoors. I actually want you guys to think about taking pictures of things more outside. There is natural, and here's the other thing, it's free. Everything outside that you can take a picture of, it's free. So I would like you to consider doing that and thinking about how you can spin it. What beautiful words you could put to it. And it's always better to try to use your own words. If you're going to use a quote from somebody in an inspirational post, then you have to always make sure that you give credit to the person who said it, because otherwise that would be considered plagiarizing, right? To take someone else's words and claim them as your own. So you always want to make sure that you don't plagiarize, that you give credit to, you know, some author who says something. But you can also quote yourself. You can also have your own inspirations that you want to say, and just put that right on the graphic. I will post in the group some of the three top three programs that I use, apps that I use to take pictures, overlay them, and then put text on them. So, and I'll share these 2 pictures that I was talking about in the call. And I'm sorry that more people weren't on the call, but my final word is that persistence wins. So you see, I'm not afraid to do the call by myself. I just keep going. All right, guys, have a great evening, and I will check in with you later. Okay, take care. Bye.